Break free with Stoicism. 5 steps to emotional freedom. The weight of emotional chains. Hey there, friend. Let's start with a question that might hit you right in the heart, stirring up feelings you've been carrying for far too long. Have you ever felt so emotionally tied to someone or something that it's like you are carrying a heavy chain around your neck, its weight pressing down with every step? Maybe it's a relationship that's left you feeling stuck, tethered to someone who no longer lifts you up but instead drains your energy. Or perhaps it's a past experience, a failure, a loss, a betrayal that you can't seem to let go of, and every time you try to move forward, that weight yanks you back into the past. I've been there, and I know how it feels. I remember lying awake at night, my mind replaying a friendship that ended badly. The words we exchanged echoing like a broken record, leaving me tangled in hurt, longing, and endless what-ifs. It was as if I were stuck in quicksand. The more I dwelled on it, the deeper I sank, unable to break free. It's exhausting, isn't it? That cycle of emotional attachment can make you feel powerless, like you're trapped in a storm with no way out, the winds of your thoughts swirling relentlessly around you. But what if I told you there's a way to cut those chains, to find a clarity and freedom that lets you breathe deeply again, maybe for the first time in a long while? What if you could step out of that storm and into a space of calm, where the weight no longer defines you? Today, we're diving into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, drawing on the timeless teachings of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, who faced their own storms, wars, exile, personal losses, and emerged with insights that can guide us toward emotional freedom. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy of enduring hardship. It's a practical framework for living well, for finding peace amid chaos by focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can see. We are going to walk through 5 powerful steps to help you detach from the things that weigh you down, whether it's a toxic relationship, a lingering resentment, or an unhealthy fixation on the past. These steps aren't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't care. They were about understanding your feelings, reframing your perspective, and choosing a path that aligns with your true values, helping you rediscover what truly matters in your life. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up without that heaviness, to go through your day with a sense of lightness and purpose, unburdened by the emotional chains that have held you back. For me, learning to let go of that broken friendship meant I could finally stop replaying the past and start building new connections that brought joy instead of pain. It wasn't easy. It took time, reflection, and a lot of intentional effort, but the freedom I found was worth every step. If you're ready to let go of those mental shackles, to release the grip of attachments that no longer serve you, and to step into a lighter, more focused version of yourself, then this journey is for you. We'll explore how to recognize what's holding you back, how to shift your focus to what you can control, and how to cultivate a mindset that prioritizes your peace over your pain. Along the way, we'll draw on Stoic practices like negative visualization, journaling your thoughts, and reflecting on the impermanence of all things, tools that Marcus Aurelius used to govern an empire and Seneca used to face exile with grace. This isn't about becoming cold or detached from life. It's about attaching yourself to what truly enriches you, your growth, your values, your inner strength, and letting go of what diminishes you. So stick with me as we embark on this transformative journey together, taking each step with intention, knowing that on the other side lies a version of you that's freer, stronger, and ready to live with clarity and purpose. Let's begin. Understanding the power of detachment, taking back control. Let's kick things off with the first step. Understanding why detachment is so powerful, a concept that can transform the way you navigate your emotional world. When we cling too tightly to people, situations, or even ideas, it's like we're handing over the remote control to our emotions, surrendering our inner peace to forces beyond our command. Someone else or something else gets to decide how we feel, turning our happiness into a fragile guest that can be ushered out by their actions, their words, their presence or absence, swinging us from joy to heartbreak in an instant. I remember a time when I was so attached to a friend's approval that every time they canceled plans or seemed distant, I'd spiral into a storm of self-doubt, questioning my worth, wondering what I did wrong, replaying every interaction to find the flaw. It felt like they held the key to my happiness, and I was just along for the ride, a passenger in my own life, buffeted by their moods and decisions. But here is what the Stoics teach us. Detachment isn't about not caring or building a wall around your heart. It is about taking back control, reclaiming the reins of your emotional well-being. Picture your emotions like a kite soaring high in the sky, vibrant and free, its colors catching the light. Every attachment you have is a string pulling that kite in a different direction. Some gentle tugs from loved ones, some forceful yanks from past regrets, and others from the expectations you place on how life should unfold. If you're holding on to too many strings or gripping one too tightly, whether it's a person, a job, or a memory, you're at the mercy of the wind, those unpredictable forces outside your power, tossed around with no say in where you go or how you feel. Detachment is about choosing which strings to hold and how tightly, giving you the ability to guide your kite with intention rather than letting it crash under the weight of every gust. It's about realizing that while you can't control the wind, the actions of others, the outcomes of events, you can decide how much they affect you, how deeply they pull on your kite's strings. To begin this journey, start by asking yourself a simple but profound question. What am I overly attached to? Take a moment to reflect. Maybe it's a person whose opinion shapes your day, a memory that haunts you like a shadow, or even an idea of how things should be, like a perfect relationship or a flawless career. Then dig deeper. Why am I so attached? Is it a fear of being alone, a deep-seated need for validation, or a belief that your worth depends on someone else's approval? Understanding the root of that attachment is the first step to loosening its grip, like unraveling a knot that's been tying you down. For me, that spiral over my friend S' approval stemmed from a fear that I wasn't T enough on my own, a realization that hit hard but opened the door to change. From there, find activities that fill you with purpose, perhaps painting, to express your inner world, hiking to connect with nature's vastness, or volunteering to contribute to something bigger than yourself, things that remind you of your own worth independent of anyone else's judgment or presence. Detachment doesn't make you cold or indifferent. It makes you grounded, rooted in a strength that comes from within rather than from external validation. It's about caring deeply, loving people, cherishing memories, pursuing dreams, without being consumed by them, without letting them dictate your every mood or moment. Think of it as a dance. You move with the music of life, feeling its rhythm, but you lead the steps rather than following blindly. This power we're tapping into here is the foundation of emotional freedom, a state where you can feel joy without clinging to it, face loss without being crushed by it, and engage with the world without losing yourself in it. It's just the beginning of this transformative journey, a first step toward a life where you're the pilot of your emotions, not a passenger. As we move forward, this understanding will guide us, helping us build a resilience that lets us soar, unburdened by the strings that once held us down. Seeing attachment for what it is, ego versus love. Now that we've laid the groundwork by understanding the power of detachment, let's dive into the second step, understanding what attachment really is, peeling back the layers to see it through a Stoic lens. The Stoics believed that at our core we're creatures of love, pure, radiant, and unburdened, much like a newborn baby who knows nothing but joy, existing in a state of innocent connection with the world. But as we grow, life's experiences and our ego step in, cluttering our lives with attachments that pull us away from that essence, wrapping us in layers of fear, need, and dependency that distort our natural state. I used to think my attachment to an ex was love. I'd spend hours missing them, replaying our memories like a worn-out film, feeling like I couldn't move on without them in my life. I'd tell myself this ache was proof of how much I cared, but the Stoics would gently correct me. That's not love. That's the ego playing its deceptive game, masquerading as something noble while keeping you trapped. Here's the distinction the Stoics draw, and it's a transformative one. Love is free, abundant, and trusting. It flows without conditions, knowing that what's meant for you will find its way, whether it's a person, an opportunity, or a moment of joy. Love doesn't demand or cling, it exists in a state of openness, allowing you to give and receive without fear. Attachment, on the other hand, comes from the ego, that part of us that whispers fears of scarcity and loss, convincing us We need to hold on tightly to people, outcomes, or even ideas, because they define our worth or security. Attachment is like an anchor dragging you down to the ocean floor, its heavy chains keeping you from sailing the vast, beautiful ocean of life you're meant to explore, filled with new horizons and possibilities. It's born from a place of lack, fear that without this person, this job, this version of your life, you'll be incomplete, unworthy, or alone. But the Stoics remind us that this is an illusion, a trick of the ego that keeps us tethered to suffering rather than soaring in freedom. Imagine a life where you're not clutching onto someone or something for security, where you're not defined by what you possess or who approves of you, but instead living from a place of love, a love that trusts in your own sufficiency, in the universe's abundance, in the belief that you don't need to hold on so tightly because your value isn't tied to what you are attached to. It's a life where you're free to move through the world with grace, welcoming what comes and releasing what doesn't, without the paralyzing fear of loss. To start untangling those anchors, the first step is to acknowledge your attachment for what it is, a product of your ego, not your heart. Maybe you're attached to a job because it makes you feel validated, its title or salary a badge of worth, or perhaps you are clinging to a person because you fear the loneliness that might follow their absence. Take a moment to see that fear for what it is, a story your ego tells, not a reflection of your true essence. Remind yourself, my core, my deepest self, is love, and that love is enough to sustain me, to guide me, to fill me with purpose and peace. This shift from attachment to love doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, a daily choice to prioritize your inner peace over external validation, to choose freedom over fear. It requires you to pause, reflect, and gently challenge the ego's narratives, asking yourself whether what you're holding on to is serving your growth or stunting it. For me, recognizing that my longing for my ex was more about my fear of being unlovable than about genuine love, allowed me to start letting go, to see that I didn't need them to be whole. As you practice this, as you let go of the ego's grip, you'll feel a lightness, a freedom to move forward unburdened by the weight of what you thought you needed. You'll find yourself ready to welcome new blessings with open arms, new connections, new dreams, new joys, because you're no longer anchored to the past. You're not losing love by detaching. You're rediscovering it in its truest, most liberating form. A love that starts within you and radiates outward, illuminating your path, shattering the ego's illusions, embracing your worth. Let's move to the third step, and it's about breaking through the illusions our ego creates, dismantling the false narratives that keep us bound to unnecessary suffering. Sometimes our ego tricks us into believing we're not good enough, that someone else's life is inherently better, or that we need their validation to feel whole, like a fragile house of cards, waiting for an external breeze to knock it down. It's like looking at a neighbor's lawn and thinking their grass is greener, a vivid emerald expanse, while ignoring the beauty and potential of your own garden, overlooked in the shadow of comparison. I fell into this trap once, idolizing a colleague who seemed to have it all, confidence radiating from their every word, success dripping from their achievements, a life that appeared perfect from the outside. I'd cling to their approval, measuring my worth by whether they smiled at me or praised my work, thinking that if they liked me, I'd finally feel worthy, as if their nod could fill the void I carried within. But the Stoics would tell us that it's a mirage, a shimmering lie the ego constructs to keep us trapped, chasing shadows instead of embracing our own reality. Here's the truth that cuts through the illusion. When you strip away the surface polish, the titles, the social media highlights, we're all human, equally vulnerable, equally valuable, each of us navigating our own unique path with our own struggles and strengths. No one has a special ticket to happiness that you don't possess. No one is inherently more deserving of peace or fulfillment. That colleague I admired? Beneath their polished exterior, they had their own battles, doubts about their abilities, pressures I couldn't see, insecurities hidden behind their confident smile. I just couldn't see them from afar, my ego magnifying their virtues while dimming my own. The Stoics teach us to see everyone, including ourselves, through a lens of equality, recognizing that we're all threads in the same intricate tapestry of life, each path as significant as the next, woven together by shared humanity rather than divided by perceived hierarchies. This perspective dismantles the ego's game, revealing that the pedestal we place others on is a fiction, and the pit we dig for ourselves is equally unreal. To break this illusion and step into your own power, start by building your self-confidence, a foundation that doesn't waver with others' opinions. Remind yourself daily, I am amazing, special, unique, not in a way that lifts you above others, but in a way that honors your inherent worth. That's not arrogance, it's healing, a nurturing act that rebuilds the part of you that's been told it's not enough, that it needs external validation to shine. Write it down if you must, speak it aloud to let it sink in. Let it become a mantra that drowns out the ego's whispers. But don't stop there. Extend this recognition to others. See that they too are on their own journeys, not above or below you, just different, each carrying their own burdens and beauties. This mindset helps you detach, especially in relationships, by letting go of the scarcity mindset, the fear that you're losing someone irreplaceable, that without them, your world crumbles. Instead, embrace abundance, a belief that your completeness doesn't depend on anyone's presence or approval, that you are whole regardless of who stays or goes. This realization is like shedding a heavy cloak that's been weighing you down for far too long. You will feel a profound strength, a resilience that prepares you to face life's uncertainties with grace and poise. No longer are you chasing validation, scrambling to prove yourself to someone else's standards. You're standing in your own light, a steady flame that doesn't flicker at the whims of others. For me, letting go of that need for my colleague's approval meant I could focus on my own growth, celebrating my progress without needing their applause. This shift allows you to love deeply, friends, family, partners, without clinging, because your worth isn't tied to their presence or their perception of you. It's a freedom that empowers you to move through life with confidence, to offer love without fear of loss, and to welcome new connections with an open heart, knowing your value is intrinsic. As you practice this, you'll find the ego's illusions fading, replaced by a clarity that lifts you into a life of authenticity and strength. Detachment in action, letting go to move forward. Now that we've tackled the ego's illusions, let's get practical with the fourth step, putting detachment into action, a hands-on approach to breaking free from the emotional attachments that weigh us down. Letting go of these attachments can feel terrifying, can't it? It's like holding onto a rope so tightly that your hands ache, your knuckles white from the strain, but you were scared to release it because you don't know what is waiting on the other side. Uncertainty looms like a shadowy abyss. I learned this lesson the hard way with a relationship I clung to for years, one that had become a familiar part of my life. It was comfortable, a safe harbor in the storm of life, but deep down I knew it wasn't right for me. It wasn't aligning with my values or helping me grow into the person I wanted to be. Yet I was so afraid of letting go, gripped by the fear of being alone, terrified that I'd never find something better, that I stayed far longer than I should have, even as it held me back from true happiness, keeping me tethered to a version of myself I was ready to outgrow. Here is what I realized through that experience. Letting go doesn't mean you fall into a void. It means you free your hands to reach for something better, creating space for new possibilities to enter your life. That relationship I held on to so tightly. When I finally let go, mustering the courage to release my grip, I opened the door to new connections, new joys I couldn't have imagined while I was still clinging to the past. I found friendships that lifted me up, passions that reignited my spirit, and a sense of peace that came from living authentically, unburdened by what no longer served me. Another common trap we fall into, one that fuels our reluctance to detach, is FOMO, the fear of missing out, a modern anxiety the Stoics would have recognized as a distraction from true contentment. Social media amplifies this fear, doesn't it? You scroll through everyone else's highlight reels, exotic vacations, glowing promotions, perfect moments captured in golden hour light, and feel like you're falling behind, like your life doesn't measure up. I used to do that endlessly, comparing my quiet evenings to those curated snapshots, thinking I was missing out on some universal happiness everyone else had unlocked. But those images aren't real life. They're filtered, staged, a hologram of perfection you can never catch up to. a mirage that keeps you chasing an unattainable ideal. The Stoics would urge us to see through this illusion, to recognize that comparison is a thief of joy, pulling us away from the present moment and the life we're actually living. Detachment here means letting go of the false idea of happiness that comparison creates, the notion that someone else's life is inherently better or more fulfilling. The grass always looks greener from a distance, a lush expanse of perfection, but up close, you'll see its brown patches, its imperfections, just like anyone else's life. Once I stopped scrolling and started living my own story, focusing on the small joys in my day, the progress I was making toward my goals, FOMO lost its power over me. I realized I wasn't missing out. I was building a life that felt meaningful to me, not to someone else's standards. The Stoic way is to focus on what's in your control, your thoughts, your actions, your growth, and release the rest. Maybe that means taking a break from social media to be fully present in your own life, savoring the taste of your morning coffee or the sound of laughter shared with a friend rather than chasing a digital dopamine hit. Or perhaps it means releasing a past relationship that's keeping you stuck, replaying old memories instead of creating new ones. Letting go isn't about giving up happiness. It's about defining it on your terms, unburdened by illusions, free to embrace the unpredictable beauty of your own journey. It's a shift from living reactively, swayed by comparisons, fears, or external pressures, to living intentionally, guided by your own values and vision. When I stopped letting FOMO dictate my choices and started appreciating my own path, I found a richness in my life I'd overlooked before. Detachment in action means taking these practical steps, whether it's setting boundaries with technology, saying goodbye to what no longer serves you, or simply choosing to focus on the present and watching as your life opens up, lighter, freer, and more authentically yours. Finding true happiness, valuing yourself from within. Let's bring it all together with the fifth step, discovering the path to true happiness, a journey that shifts our focus inward to uncover a joy that's unshakable and self-sustained. So often we think happiness comes from someone else's presence in our life, as if their approval or companionship is the key to our fulfillment, that our worth rises when they praise us and falls when they drift away, leaving us hollow. I used to believe that about a close friend who felt like my anchor. When they were around, laughing at my jokes or sharing late-night conversations, I felt whole, like I belonged somewhere. But when they drifted, busy with their own life or simply distant, I felt like I was missing a piece of myself, as if my value depended on their proximity, their validation. It was a fragile way to live, my happiness tethered to someone else's actions, always at the mercy of their choices. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, offer a different path, teaching us that true value doesn't come from others. It comes from within, rooted in the essence of who we are. Your worth lies in your character, your wisdom, the way you treat others, not in someone else's opinion of you, not in how many likes your latest post gets or how often a friend texts back. Imagine you're a bird perched on a branch thinking you need permission to fly, waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to take off, when really, the sky has always been open, vast, and waiting for you to soar on your own terms. That's what self-reliance feels like. It's liberating, a quiet but profound realization that your value doesn't fluctuate with who is around or what they think of you. You're not a stock market rising and falling with external forces. You're a steady force, a lighthouse glowing with your own light. Detachment isn't about pushing people away or building walls around your heart. It's about drawing closer to your own essence, discovering the strength and beauty that's always been there, waiting for you to notice. Think of it like tending a garden, a metaphor the Stoics might appreciate for its simplicity and truth. You wouldn't beg a single flower to grow, pinning all your hopes on its petals, anxiously waiting for it to bloom. Instead, you'd nurture the soil, water the plants, pull the weeds, and trust the process, knowing that growth takes time and care. In the same way, focus on your own growth, cultivating the best version of yourself day by day with intention and patience. Maybe that means learning a new skill that sparks your curiosity, like playing the guitar or speaking a new language or practicing kindness in small, meaningful ways, listening deeply to a friend helping a stranger, or simply smiling at someone who looks like they need it. Perhaps it's setting goals that light you up inside, like running a 5K, writing a story, or starting a project you've always dreamed of. As you cultivate your own garden, tending to your mind, body, and spirit, you'll find a happiness that's resilient, independent of who's there to admire it or who's missing from the picture. That's the Stoic path to emotional freedom. Knowing you're complete, with or without someone's affirmation, a whole and vibrant being capable of standing on your own. It doesn't mean closing your heart to love or connection, far from it. It means anchoring your happiness in your own being so you can love freely, without the neediness that comes from fear or lack. When your happiness is rooted within, you offer love as a gift, not a plea, sharing it from a place of abundance rather than desperation. For me, letting go of the idea that my friend S' presence defined my worth opened up a new kind of joy. I could appreciate our time together without clinging to it, and I could enjoy my own company just as much, finding peace in my own pursuits. Your self-worth isn't a puzzle missing someone else's piece, waiting for them to complete you. It's a masterpiece, whole and radiant as it is, yet always open to the beauty the world can add, when the right connections come along. This inner foundation lets you move through life with confidence, unshaken by the comings and goings of others, free to soar in the open sky of your own making. Wrapping up your journey to emotional freedom. As we come to the end of this transformative journey, let's take a moment to reflect on the steps we've taken together, a path that's brought us from the weight of emotional attachment to the lightness of freedom. We started with that heavy feeling, didn't we? The chains of emotional attachment that made you feel stuck, powerless, as if you were dragging a burden you couldn't escape. Whether it was a relationship that drained you, a past you couldn't release, or a need for validation that kept you tethered to others' opinions. But now you've got 5 Stoic-inspired steps to break free, each one a tool to help you reclaim your power and rediscover your essence. First, we explored the power of detachment, learning how to take back control of your emotions rather than letting external forces dictate your happiness. Then we saw attachment for what it truly is, the ego's game, not love, distinguishing between clinging out of fear and loving from a place of abundance. Next, we shattered the ego's illusions by embracing your own worth, recognizing that you're not less than anyone, nor is anyone above you, just different threads in life's tapestry. We put detachment into action by letting go of what holds you back, whether it's FOMO, comparison, or a relationship that no longer serves you. Finally, we found true happiness by valuing yourself from within, anchoring your joy in your character and growth, not in someone else's presence or approval. These steps aren't about becoming cold or indifferent. They're about rediscovering your essence, living from a place of love, not fear, and cultivating a life that's authentically yours. Think about how far you've come on this journey. You're no longer the person clinging to that rope, hands aching from holding on too tightly, terrified of what might happen if you let go. You've released your grip, and in doing so, you've opened your hands to new possibilities, new joys that light up your days, new connections that align with your true self, and a newfound sense of freedom that feels like a deep, cleansing breath. You're not chasing someone else's highlight reel, scrolling through social media with a pang of inadequacy, nor are you seeking validation to feel whole. You're writing your own story, crafting chapters that reflect your values and dreams. You're tending your own garden, nurturing your growth with care, pulling the weeds of comparison and fear, and watching your own flowers bloom in their own time. You're soaring in your own sky, a bird no longer waiting for permission to fly, but gliding confidently on the wings of self-reliance. This is what emotional freedom looks like. A life unburdened by the chains of attachment, where you can love deeply without clinging, engage with the world without losing yourself, and face uncertainty with a steady heart. So what's next for you now that you've taken these steps? I'd love to hear your reflections. Which step resonated with you the most? Was it the clarity of distinguishing love from the ego's attachment, realizing that what you thought was love might have been fear in disguise? Or perhaps it was the freedom of letting go of FOMO, stepping away from comparison to live your own story with intention. Maybe it's the empowering realization that your happiness comes from within, a wellspring that doesn't dry up when someone walks away. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear what sparked something in you, what's shifted in your perspective. And if this journey has lit a fire in you, hit that like button. It means the world to know this resonated with you. We've also got a little bonus to help you continue this journey. A free guide on 3 Stoic rules for a fulfilling life, packed with practical wisdom to keep you grounded and growing. Check the description to grab yours. It's my gift to you for coming this far. If you know someone who might need this, who's feeling weighed down by their own emotional chains, share this with them. Let's spread this Stoic wisdom together, helping others find the freedom you've discovered. You're on a path to emotional freedom now, friend. Unburdened by the attachments that once held you back, ready to embrace a life that's truly, beautifully yours. Keep walking this path with intention, knowing each step brings you closer to the best version of yourself. Until next time, keep growing, keep shining. I'll see you soon with more insights to light your way.